Here, your host. As always, we're back. It feels good to be back. We took a little bit of a break, got some things plugged away. I think my internet works now and I'm out of the bat cave, so that should be fun. And as always, I am not only going to do this by myself, I have my friends Jeff Kassouf of Equalizer Soccer and Lori Lindsey here to join me. Guys, it feels good. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of things happening in NWSL, whether it's new hires, a new player called Own Goal. I mean, there's a lot of things happening, right?
I like the new player called Own Goal.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about that, right? And this segment, we've been toying with a few ideas, right, Jeff? We had counterattack, I think was one of the things I said. Fast break. We're trying to do something quick before we get to our guest. And you mentioned 3 points. I kind of like it. It's like the wins of the weekend. It's 3 points. So hats off to Jeff for the name of this segment.
Super creative.
Yeah, you're very creative, very creative. Big W for you. You can add that to your win column. The 3 points, I'm actually going to go ahead and start with Lori. I know I mentioned the new player called Own Goals, but what a wild ride for Chicago. Is Own Goal their best player right now?
I think so. I mean, seriously, it's up for leading goal scorer for the Golden Boot Award. So I would absolutely say so. I mean, a wild ride, I think, is the way to put it. I'm sure a lot of teams right now in the league would consider the season a wild ride, just with like the starts and stops, right? Challenge Cup, everything. And then players being away now for the Olympics. So wild ride for sure. But, you know, one thing about the Own Goals that's interesting is credit to Chicago. They've been able to ride the waves. Challenging start for them at the beginning of the season, but now actually putting some really good soccer together, and they're creating those own goals essentially. I mean, forcing teams to have to come up with some last ditch efforts defensively, and then getting the results because of it. And you know, the three of us were talking about off air just how a bit more direct that Chicago has been this year, not necessarily just playing straight over the back line that how most people would consider direct soccer, but finding the higher players like DiBernardo or even Malpew as quickly as possible, if that's them checking back, and then getting them faced up and running. And they're putting themselves in good positions and making it challenging for teams. So credit to them. Especially during this time when they needed to get results and get themselves back into the mix.
Yeah. We've got some Twitch comments coming in. Barry Schaefer from North Carolina, from Cary, North Carolina, says hi to everyone. I'm sure he is kind of excited about our guest, maybe. So Barry, stay tuned. I know that we'll get to our guest very shortly. So Lori had the 1 point, and I think that's true. Not only has Own Goal been good, but Chicago has been good in putting teams under pressure and using that more direct style of play to get after teams a little bit quicker. So that's our first point. Our second point, we're going to Jeff. Houston, Seiler has a goal. What do you think about that, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously a good story. It's a big win for Houston, but you know, on an individual level, Gabby Seiler's first pro goal, free kick. She talked about it afterward of kind of an impromptu decision of sorts that she would take that, and some teammates giving her some confidence to be the one to take that. And I think, you know, Jordan, as you know, you've got ACL club in that. I mean, her story, you know, one of many of coming back from an ACL tear and that journey, which she's talked about. So I think, you know, a cool moment for a player who maybe was, you know, waiting for that breakout opportunity in Portland, goes to Houston, and I think is, you know, now getting more of that now with the Dash.
Yeah. And just the emotions from her afterwards. She's been really, I think, one of the most outspoken people about mental health. And that's half the journey when you're coming back from a big injury, is that mental side of it. So that's our second point of 3 points. My point, Sophia Smith taking it all the way. Didn't you just get like a little bit of those old football commentators that would say she could go all the way? Not only just a ridiculous, she did. It wasn't just a ridiculous dribble, but the shot was outrageous. Ashley Harris looked like she was in a pretty good spot, thinking maybe if it went across the goal, she would be able to cover that as well. And man, just so much power on that. It was definitely one of my favorite goals of the weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, tough result for Orlando, but on the anomaly, or maybe not anomaly, but just the statistical front, we talked about own goals, 4 straight PKs stopped for Harris too. So
it's so silly.
She did a Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah, oh, totally. And basically that goal that Sophia Smith scored was like the only way you're going to beat Ashland Harris at this point in time, when it's like she wasn't even sure that shot was coming in. I think she thought she was going to try to clip it in behind or just whip it across far post. So
right. Yeah. Well, it was a good weekend in NWSL soccer. So much more to talk about. We're going to break one game down a little bit later, but first, we are going to take a quick break and get back to this in just a few minutes. We're going to have our guest from the North Carolina Courage. We have Denise O'Sullivan. We've got a lot of questions for her, what life is like down in North Carolina and how she has been so dominant for so long in NWSL. So make sure you stick around. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back, everybody. NWSL Live. And this is, I think, maybe our favorite part of this show is when we get to bring in one of the players in NWSL. And this week, we are going to North Carolina to the Courage, bringing in Denise O'Sullivan. I am so excited to have you here, as are the other two, Denise, but I get to talk to you a little bit before we bring in Lori and Jeff. How have you been?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to have you. You were telling us we were kind of making you laugh in the first segment. Thank you. I feel so honored.
You are. No worries.
How has this year been? It's been such a, I mean, really, if you look back on the last 18 months, wild ride. And you guys have overcome a lot of things, but what was it like starting a season off with a tournament? Not really something that we normally are used to here in just, I guess, not even here, anywhere in the world. How has that like allowed you guys to get into the season flow? Was it helpful, or has it been a little strange?
It was definitely strange, I think, playing a tournament, but it was also really fun. I think it was just a different experience for us. And I think being together with the girls for almost a month, just in a hotel, I mean, it was definitely strange, but just being around them, it was really fun. And yeah, not playing a season was tough. I think we definitely missed it. But I think at that time, the most important thing was people's safety. So it was fun. Obviously, we didn't win it, but so that hurts. But coming into this season, we were ready, and having a 10-week preseason with all the girls was very fun. So it's going well, and obviously this season has been fun. It's been a bit wild, I think. The way the table is looking right now, it's very close. I think there's 4 points from 7 to first place. So it's always a challenge, and I think it is a big challenge this year for us, but we thrive on that, and we're just excited for the rest of the season.
And I'll go. So Paul Riley's talked a lot about players that he's coached, and highly of the players he's coached, and he's primarily talked a lot about you and what you bring. How have you found your experience playing for him, and how has that helped your development the last several years being in North Carolina?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Honestly, it's been the best move of my career. Being a player under Paul Riley, I think he's magnificent, a great coach, a leader. He inspires the whole team. So he's developed me as a player, and I think the biggest thing for me was that he believed in me from the first day that I came to the Courage. I went through a tough period before that, and then I came here. He told me to work really hard, and I'll get my opportunity, and I did, and the opportunity came along, and it's great being here. I'm just surrounded by great people, my teammates, people who push me to do better every day. So it's going good.
Denise, you kind of alluded to it there of being in that spot now in North Carolina. And I know you've talked about this, but I wanted to ask you, I mean, I always kind of laugh when Charlie Nemo has told that story. He says he's sitting on a beach and he gets an alert that you're available and he can't believe it. And, I know you've talked about that, before kind of coming to North Carolina, that kind of being a lower point for you. It's obviously been upward from there. I mean, do you take time to reflect on that as really like a career changing type of inflection point for you of making that move and how that all happened?
Yeah, it definitely changed my career for sure. As I said, I went through a tough year there in Houston, just sitting on the bench and coming on to games for 2 minutes, and it just kind of knocked my confidence a bit. So I always remember the day where Paul called me and I was sitting having a coffee, and he said, I actually got waived at that stage, and he said, come down here and you'll get an opportunity. And I grasped at the opportunity right away. I was actually about to go to Germany and sign a contract. Luckily I didn't, because this is the right place for me. Yeah, I'm being challenged every day. I'm being held accountable, and that's what I want. Yeah, it's really good.
And you've won a few trophies too. I mean, that just right in the mix
that's a bonus. Yeah, big bonus.
Yeah. This North Carolina team over the last few years has been so outstanding. You could name so many different players, and what you guys have done together has been quite remarkable. You mentioned earlier, this is an interesting year and the table is a lot closer. What do you feel like has added to this year being closer than maybe other years, and you guys in a position where you're on top of the table, now you're sixth, and it just seems like it's switching all of the time? What's happening in NWSL, and is it a good thing to see in some ways?
I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's great for the league. It's really competitive, and I really just think every team is getting stronger, and it's good to see. It's keeping us on our toes, and it's every game is a challenge for us. So overall, I think it's great. And you don't want to be going into games and just beating teams every time. I think it's a huge challenge for us to just keep going. And yeah, we're in sixth place right now, but we could win the next game and then go higher up the table again. It's just crazy. Honestly, it's never been like this. And but yeah, it's going really well, and just want to grow as a team every day. I think that's the most important thing for us, is we're a performance orientated team, and it's not about the results, but the later the season goes on, it does get it's about results that they're really important. But right now it's just about us getting better. We've new players added into the team, so it's just getting them comfortable as well within the team. So I'm very excited.
Would you say that that's been the difference, is adding in new players? I mean, because when I kind of look at your team too, there's not a ton of change as well. Yes, there are a few in some key areas, which we know that affects on-field performances. But what would you say is the biggest thing that's is it the rest of the league kind of stepped up and elevated some of their play? Is it something that you all are doing a little differently, trying different tactics on the field? What do you feel like is resulting in the fact that there's so much parity?
Yeah, I think it's other teams. I think it's them just getting adding strength to their team and just getting better every game, and that's the main thing really that I think. Yeah.
Well, 2018 you all only lost once. You barnstorming. So you prefer not winning every game? I feel like you prefer that 2018 season.
That's a tough question, but yeah, I mean that season was honestly unforgettable, and I think it's really hard to repeat that. I mean, ever again. But I think it is good that we're being challenged right now, and yeah, we just keep going as a team, and we keep doing our thing. We work really hard at training. I mean, like extremely hard. So we'll just keep doing that, and I think the results will come in time.
How have you guys built that culture? Because it does seem like you have a belief, and no matter who steps in, that they're going to perform and be able to fit into what you've built over the last few years. Who is it that is like the head of the culture? Is it Paul? Is it some of the players on the team? Is it a collective effort?
I think it's a collective, and I think it does start with Paul. I think he's created that for the team, and then we just have to take responsibility and follow that up. So I think it's definitely a collective, and we all push each other every day at training, and we hold each other accountable. And yeah, it's a great culture to be a part of, and it's something that I thrive in. Working really hard and just trying to get better. Yeah.
For the listeners, I mean, a lot of us know that it's an amazing adventure to be a professional athlete, professional soccer player, but also there's like some challenging times as well. And one in particular for you would be that you're so far away from home. Can you give the listener some idea of what that's been like, how you've handled being so far? And we know that you're one of 9, I believe. And
yeah, the youngest of 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So 10.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah. Youngest. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Does that make it even more difficult, and just give us some insight on what that's been like for you?
Yeah, I think it's tough being away from home, especially having a big family like that. But I think the hardest part for me was when I first left home, and I left home when I was 18. It was a real challenge, and I was literally only going across the water. It was a 1-hour flight, and it took me, honestly, when I was signing for Glasgow City, it took me probably a month to make up my mind whether I wanted to go or not. And I would wake up at all hours in the night, and speak to my dad and be like, I don't think I want to go. And then the next day I would change my mind. So I think that was the biggest hurdle for me, was just to go and do it. But even now I'm 27, and it's still tough. It gets lonely, and but I think the important thing is I'm able to FaceTime them every single day, and I don't think I go a day without FaceTiming my mom. She's always on the phone FaceTiming me, so I'll never get away with not FaceTiming her. But yeah, they're always very supportive of me still to this day, pushing me to be better, and hopefully I'll get to go back there soon. But yeah, it's going well. They're really happy for me, and they know I love North Carolina. They know I love the team, so they just want what's best for me.
So is there one sibling in particular that like inspired you to play, or did everyone play football or soccer, or what's the story there?
Yeah, my 5 brothers, they all played growing up, and that's how I actually started to play. I would play street soccer with them and all their friends, and I was the only girl every single time. I would go out and play, and I wouldn't come in home until my mom would call me for dinner at like 8 p.m. So it started there. And then one of my brothers actually has a few caps for the Ireland national team at junior level. So I would travel to Dublin. I would watch him play for the national team, and he really inspired me to play for my country as well. So yeah, he was really the inspiration for me.
Yeah. You have like a whole fan section when you have games too. I mean, if there's a game in Ireland, the whole family is showing up, I'm sure.
Oh, they're all showing up. Yeah, all 10 of them are driving up to Dublin and staying in hotels and just having a good time. Yeah, so it's really good that they're always supportive of me.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, I'd love to get some travel tips. In Ireland, I always hear people talk about, but I have never been. I don't know when I'm getting on a plane again, I guess. But I mean, like, what is the thing to do or see as a, local? You're still local. I mean, you've been in North Carolina a while, but.
Well, if you're going to Cork, which is my hometown, you got to go to the Blarney Castle, and I don't know if you've ever heard it. It's a historic thing where people go there and kiss the Blarney Stone.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I think would definitely be on your list. And then just going to Dublin, I think people just go there because it's really fun, and yeah, there's just a lot of nice things to do there. Like just going the cliffs of Moher. I was just about to say that. Yeah, that's really beautiful as well. So yeah, it's a beautiful country. There's a lot of things to do there.
Yeah. That place is beautiful. Taryn Hemmings, who used to play for Chicago Red Stars, her and I went on a little trip and checked those cliffs. So you've been there? Out. I have. Jeff, you got to go someday.
I know.
It's amazing. And that leads me to a question that Jeff and I were talking about is you've played in so many different places, Ireland, Australia, Scotland, the US. Over that time, how do you feel like the women's game has grown globally? Perfect timing, right? We're about to start the Olympics and just a matter of hours. Lori is gonna sleep pretty soon.
Go to bed, Lori.
All those games. How have you seen the game grow, and what excites you about the path that it's on?
Yeah, it's grown a lot, honestly. It's so good to see. And even in this league here, like when you go and play in Portland and stuff like that, there's 20,000 fans there supporting women. So that's really good. And I've been to obviously Australia and Glasgow, and there's a lot of support for women's soccer, and it's just amazing to see that. I've been to those places, and I still see how many people come out to support the women's game. And I hope it keeps going like that in the right direction.
Love it. Guys, do we want to? Are you guys good? Should we do a little rapid fire? Or do you have any more questions, Lori?
I was just wondering about, Champions League, because we always hear about it, and you got to experience that a little bit. I don't know if you miss it at all, but I'm wondering. I would like to see something over here. We've kind of heard vague mention of that in the future for CONCACAF Champions League, but I don't know. Does like ICC, does that even feel anything remotely like? Does that? Probably not, right?
Yeah, I mean, Champions League is absolutely huge. It's such a good tournament, and I've played in Champions League a few times, and I got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League when I played for Glasgow City. So it's a fantastic tournament to be a part of, and you're just playing top European teams. So the ICC it's really fun as well. Teams coming over, and they're some of the best teams in the world. So it's great for them to come and play teams and see how they are in this league as well.
Love it. Lori, you good? You want to go into rapid fire?
Rapid fire. Let's do it.
Hey. I make my own sound effects. All right, Denise, are you ready?
I think so.
Really, it's not that. It's not that big of a deal. I just was starting to be weird. Okay, something that you say in Ireland that Americans don't understand.
Oh, a lot of people say, and I would say sometimes, what's the crack? What's the story?
Ooh, what's the crack? Okay.
What's the crack?
Yeah.
That's going to be one of our new segments. Actually, when we have a guest.
What's the crack? I like that. What's the crack?
Do you have an idea what it means?
Oh, it doesn't mean what's the story?
Yeah, basically how you doing? Like how you doing?
Oh,
what's
gotcha.
Crack?
Okay.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, what's the crack?
Yeah,
So
like
this segment,
what's going on?
This segment should be for for the guests, what's the crack? Like, how you doing?
What's the crack?
Yeah.
There's also that's crack, which is like, that's awesome. But that's a different.
Look at Jeff dipping in with some lingo.
Yeah.
Jeff knows all the new words.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
All right, favorite restaurant in Cary or Raleigh? You can choose that.
Favorite restaurant? Probably City Market Sushi. I'm a big sushi fan, and that's probably one of my favorites. So
is that in Cary or Raleigh?
That is in Raleigh, downtown
Okay.
Raleigh. Yeah,
we need to check it out. Perfect.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good.
I always just see those alpaca ads on the sideline, and I wonder. I never have tried that when I've been down there, but
Yeah.
No, go.
Well, what's an Irish food that like is very, very Irish that we should try or don't know about?
I mean, I'm sure you've heard of an Irish stew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've had much of it.
Yeah, bangers and mash is another
Bangers
big
and mash.
Bangers and mash
a big
is
Irish
so
thing.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are the two most popular ones.
Yeah.
All right, we've seen your teammate Dabinia do some crazy things. If you had to describe her in one word, what would you say?
Magical.
We agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's unbelievable.
It'll be fun to see her tomorrow night.
She actually gave me a Brazil jersey, so to cheer her on for the Olympics. So
we see what's happening here.
Yeah,
passing out her jersey.
Alliance.
Not. I hope you cheer for me. You will cheer. Put this on. Coffee or tea? What's your preference?
Oh, coffee. 100% coffee.
Same.
Yeah, I'm a coffee snob, to be quite honest.
Do you have a go-to in Cary or Raleigh?
I would say Jubala coffee in Raleigh is really good. But no, I honestly haven't been out for coffee in so long. We actually my roommate got like a barista coffee machine.
Ooh.
That's actually really good. So
who's your roommate?
I don't Haley Mace.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, so I don't go out for coffee that much anymore because it's so good that I don't need to.
You're talking like full espresso machine?
Oh, it has everything. Yeah, it's like one, honestly, like at a coffee shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's what happens when you go play overseas. And she was in Sweden, right?
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
You're like, I know good coffee. I want it all the time.
Yeah, she's worse than me for coffee. So we're perfect roommates.
Well, I think maybe Jordan, you want to wrap after this? I was just wondering, like, what did you think about a career that was not a pro soccer player? Was there anything else that you were looking at?
I do some coaching, to be quite honest. I haven't in a while because the season's been just so crazy. But in the off season, I like to do it, and I've coached a lot of kids here individually and team coaching. So I really enjoy that. So I could definitely see myself within that area. Definitely within the sport for sure, because I know I'll miss it too much to do anything else.
Yeah, you could just join us on NWSL Live.
Yeah, I
What's
could.
the crack? What's the crack?
What's the crack segment?
Chris Sullivan. Okay, last thing. Who is the team jokester on the Courage? There's got to be one at least.
For me, I think Kristen Hamilton is hilarious.
Hammy.
That girl is so funny. She cracks me up. So definitely her.
You know what's the funniest part about her is she laughs at herself too. Like when she has a joke, it's her response to her own jokes that are, I think, some of the funniest. So
exactly, yeah, she's very funny.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Denise. This has been so much fun getting to know you, and we know who you're cheering for now in the Olympics. So I hope Sam is watching this.
I'm cheering for all my teammates.
We'll see what time you wake up to see if that's true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
All right, we'll be right back after this short break to break down one more game and get out of here for NWSL Live. Welcome back in, everybody. NWSL Live. I'm Jordan Angeli. Happy to be with you here on this Tuesday night. What a good conversation with Denise O'Sullivan. So nice to hear from players within NWSL. And I hope you guys like that. Remember, you can always add in your questions in the chat. I know I missed one there. There was someone wanting to know about Denise in Glasgow City. So I apologize for that. But we're reading those comments. We're trying to get at them. Like, we're even reading, guys, that they want NWSL Live merchandise. Ray 84 is talking about action figures. I mean, this is going to be something else, like, right? Would you guys be down for some NWSL merchandise? I mean, what would that be?
Well, I thought we were getting Lori's action figure on the show.
We were supposed
listen, if you stand by for 2 seconds, I can give you a glimpse, and then she can.
Yeah. Do you carry around your action figure when you travel?
I mean, you can't call the games at the Olympics and not bring your own action figure, right?
Bring that thing in the booth.
I'm pretty sure.
Because I brought it because Dana, our producer, is getting one, and so I had to travel here. Ready? Hold on. I don't even know how to work my own action figure.
Did
Best kicker on the planet right here, baby.
What?
Swagger. You did not wake up to be average today.
I did not wake up to be average.
No, so they're affirmations, there are voices. I'm not the only one. My good friend, Pam, came up with the idea, and it's really, like, long story short, so we don't play this out because we'll have the toy on another episode, but it's all about, like, representation and the fact that, like, yes, we have all these athletes, like a Denise O'Sullivan that we just had for people to look up to, but we never had any toys in the industry that are like strong, powerful women. And so they're called Sport Bigs, and it's myself. Then there's Rebecca Brunson, who's like a 5-time all-star in the WNBA. Then the Olympian Lisa Fernandez, who used to play softball for Team USA. So the three of us, it's our voices and their affirmations, and we recorded them over the last couple of years. And honestly, the toys are amazing. They are hilarious, and they're like, yay big. So anyway, we'll do a segment later on, and I can go into some more of the stuff. Anyway.
And Jeff, if we're ever just feeling like, man, we didn't nail a segment, just bring in Lori's doll. We'll play the affirmation, and we'll remember that we didn't wake up to be average today.
Well, listen, and now I'm bummed that it doesn't say, what's the crack?
Yeah, I kind of like that. I think we're changing the segment to what's the crack. So we'll get you some more information on that maybe next week. But last segment here, you guys, there were a ton of games. We've talked about a few of them previously in that first segment, but we need to dig into one. And I think the one that we both thought or all three of us thought would be good to talk about is the Washington Spirit Gotham FC game over the weekend. And let's just chat over this. We'll be watching what went down in this game. Really, the big impact in the game was early on with the red card at the beginning of the game, because this is potentially a different game if this doesn't happen, if this red card isn't called, and it changes the trajectory of this game. How do you feel like, one, this impacted the game, Lori, but how did Washington recover?
Well, to be honest, it doesn't sound like, and it doesn't seem like they did recover, right? I mean, I think the tough part is they did go down. I mean, I wouldn't say it's questionable. I think we could all agree that that's not a red card. However, going down a player regardless is challenging. And Trinity Rodman did score moments later, essentially, to put the team up 1-0. But anytime you're playing a player down for that long, it's always going to be a challenge, especially. The one thing about the Washington Spirit that I really love is I think they're playing some of the best soccer that we're seeing in the NWSL in terms of how they move the ball, the personnel that they have still continuing to perform even with some key players missing for the Olympics. But they also are a very young team. And so I think when you go down, then you show some of that naivety. And I think they did. They showed that, right? They got scored on a corner kick or a couple corner kicks in the run of play. And it was just going to be difficult for them to close out this game. So, Jeff might have some other opinions, but I think unfortunately, that is the case, and you'd hope that they would learn from this now.
And it was a tough red card, and I think very questionable. And Jeff, we just saw a highlight of Andy Sullivan and her ability to distribute. How key is it in situations like that to have a player like Andy Sullivan to regain a little bit of where her team is at and be able to create some stability in a moment that was really challenging?
Yeah, I saw that Richie Burke reaction too. I'd also like a mic'd up segment for the sideline.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, Andy Sullivan dropping into that, I'm sure she didn't wake up that day expecting to play center back for 80 minutes essentially, but she played that ball that was a few minutes later. So she's playing that effectively from that position and doing it quite well. It's not maybe a drastic difference from the number 6, but obviously with 10 players on the field, it is. So she was key. I do think, we had Ashley Sanchez, Trinity Rodman on a few weeks ago and had a lot of fun. I do think that, that it's a league where there's always a ton of player movement, even high profile player movement. It's tough sometimes to keep a core of a team together, whether that's trades, expansion, whatever. These two players, young players, obviously, if I'm Washington, I'm doing whatever I need to do to make sure that these are my two players and I build around them for, a very long time.
Yeah, and both scored brilliant goals in this match. I mean, Rodman's was so good on the dribble. Ashley Sanchez off that free kick. 3 goals apiece on the season for them. So it's nice that they can call on those youngsters too, and they step up in those moments. On the other side, Gotham found a way to win. Laura, you mentioned the set pieces. McCall Zerboni getting one off of a set piece, her first of the year. They're currently unbeaten in 6 games. Who has been the biggest catalyst? And Jeff, I might go to you for this actually. Who's been the biggest catalyst for their success over these last 6 games?
Yeah, I do think they're a bit of a collective effort. I mean, I think Ali Long has gotten some attention. I think the midfield in general has been kind of a driving force. Zerboni getting that goal, that's a set piece. But I do think the spine of their team has been effective. And especially through that midfield 3. So, tough to pick one. I do think, Ali Long, McCall Zerboni, probably two good answers there. If I had to pick one, maybe Long.
I would add in too, she's relatively just in the last couple of games, but Tiny coming over. And I think that just comes in and starts to add in competition, right? I mean, now there's more spots that are like being occupied. So it's, what does that look like for Jennifer Cujo? What does that look like? Everyone's having to elevate their game, right? And I think that bodes well for a team like this, as I completely agree with Jeff, which has really been a collective effort, I think, throughout the entire season for them.
Mm-hmm. And this last goal that Gotham scored was Sheehan dishing the ball, and then it was Midge Purse who ends up getting the last goal, that goal to win it for Gotham. It was a good game. There were a lot of, Gotham's been in some of these high scoring 3-2. What was the other one? 4-3 battles this season. So they have definitely been back and forth in some really interesting games. But for this one, I think on the day, you have to give your hats off to Washington for sustaining and getting back into the game after being down and then eventually losing it. But gosh, that is it was a good one. So all right, well, we're gonna close this out of the highlights, and we're gonna just talk a little bit about what's happening next. I know there's a lot of NWSL talk, and we will talk about that every Tuesday at 5 p.m. But there's also the Olympics starting tomorrow for us. Really, maybe today already.
Yeah, time to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Our Lori Lindsey, I mean, Marissa Pillow is already there. We've had her in some of our segments before. Our Lori Lindsey will be calling some games tomorrow. Can you give us a little insight as to how you get on the proper time zone? Like what's going to be your prep here to wake up? What's your wake up call in the morning?
Oh, my wake up call is 1 a.m. So in the middle of the night.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we have to be there to game at 3:30. So actually I don't have a game plan in terms of that. It is like, I don't think any of us do. I think it's just a winging it because we're all sort of sorting out what that's going to look like. We know the first couple of days are the heaviest load for most people. And so it's just going to be a lot of adrenaline, really, just because of the prep and stuff that's gone into it. So yeah, I'll let you know when I know.
All right.
So it'll be more like power naps for a couple of days, I think.
Okay. Yeah. I think those are going to be some hard power naps when you actually fall asleep, you're going to be out. Best of luck. We're excited to listen to you on some of these calls, as we're excited to watch a lot of these NWSL players compete in the Olympics. It's one of the best tournaments that we get to watch every 4 years. So it should be fun. It starts all tomorrow morning for most of us. And that's it, you guys. Thanks for joining me. What a good show. Next time I'm going to bring you guys in and just say, what's the crack?
We got a new one. I mean, this is great. Listen.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining us for NWSL Live. That is it for us. See you in a week.
Yeah.